What's up, y'all? Welcome back. It is a holiday episode. Happy Valentine's Day. I'm Kevin, and I'm joined by the man number two in my heart, Austin.
Number two.
Yeah.
Who's
Number
number
one's
one?
Luka.
Oh, okay. Until Kyrie convinces him to leave.
Oh, I swear. Yeah. Thank you for bringing that up, Kyrie. Or is it Kai? Or is that his nickname?
I thought his nickname was Ree. I don't know. I'm
I don't
not.
know. I
I'm
hear
not
him
big
say
into
Kai.
nicknames.
Like Luka said Kai. I should have given it to Kai. And I'm like, okay. All right. We'll see what happens. But for our list, we're doing the ones that got away sports edition. We have a top 10, multiple reasons. We'll explain them why, and we'll just get right into it. And Austin will start at 10. You go first.
This one's at 10 for two reasons. One, because I believe they could have won a championship if they stayed, and two, the reason why it's not higher on the list is that they played for the Red Sox, and that's David Ortiz. David Ortiz could have won an MVP his last season. He led the league in doubles, RBIs, slugging percentage, OPS. Utterly an amazing season. And as a Yankee fan, that year we did not make the playoffs. And I mean, Ortiz was part of the reason why I was angered seeing him play against us. But I mean, he's such a lovable player. And I think I would have liked to see him win a ring in 2018 if he could have stayed 2 more years, or maybe they would have won it the next year. I know he would have been 41 and 42, but the way he's playing at 40, I mean, incredible. So,
Yeah, that's a pretty good one to start it off. Mine is Brandon Roy. He was incredible his first few years. The knees caused him to retire, and I know he tried to make a comeback with the Timberwolves. And he's just at 10. He had such a strong start. I believe he in Portland really pushed the Mavs in 2011. He was still a part of them, right? Then, or am I
what
thinking of the wrong person?
are you saying Portland against the Mavs?
Yeah, Portland against Mavs. Brandon Roy was on that team, right?
Yes, he was.
And I don't think
And
Dame
and
was.
he had some big games against them. He was a big
Yeah,
reason why that series went six.
yeah. So that's why I was thinking of him, and he's just the one that got away because of injuries. I got multiple injuries, but I guess I'll go into 9. Ben Bishop. He left because of injuries
Wow,
as
that's a
well
good one.
to his
Wow,
knee.
that's a good one.
It's a good one, yeah. Because it'd be great. You have Bishop, Ottinger. You also Hadobin was close on the list, but I believe he's still in the league, so he's not really retired. Um, so that's what I have, and then so Ben Bishop, number 9, pretty close. But he's a little bit lower just because he had spent already a long time in the league. I just wish he was still on this Dallas Star squad.
Yeah, so we both went goalies at number 9, and we both went goalies that made a long run with our team, our favorite team. My number 9 is Tuukka Rask. He's officially retired, and that's partially because of injury, but mainly because he wants to spend more time with his family. Right now, at the time we're recording, he's 35. Last year, he did play some games, but he wasn't 100%. But the years before that, he was utterly amazing. He too young to go. I think if we had Rask this year with Olmark, we would be utterly unbeatable, and I would love to see him on this team win another ring.
Yeah, that is a good one. And then you'll 7 or
Eight,
8. 8,
eight.
my bad.
My eight's Brandon Roy. I have a similar affinity for him. He was amazing those early years. He reminds me a lot of D Rose, except D Rose D Rose just had a lot of injuries, while Brandon Roy had a degenerative uh, condition in his knees, where his cartilage in his knees basically disintegrated to the point where he couldn't even walk without pain. So it's tough. I think his story getting back in the league with the Timberwolves, whether or not the reason was because of his past success, I think that's still a great story. And uh, this one, because of injuries, he's definitely one that got away.
Yeah. You mentioned D Rose, and I was like, oh, that'd be a good one to add, but he's still playing. My number 8 is Chris Bosch. He left. He has a really great book. Highly recommend that book.
What's it called?
Fantastic. Hmm?
What is it called?
It's called Letters to Young Athletes. It's very intriguing. I really like it. It was a gift, or I'm borrowing it. Finished it, couldn't put it down. really nice concept. And if someone says athletes really aren't that smart, I would give him that book. So he's on that list, and I didn't really watch him, but from the book and just how it ended for him, really incredible story. And then we'll go to 7 for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yao Ming. Couple basketball ones pretty quick. A really good center. I wonder how he do now in today's NBA, but just thinks I believe injuries also derailed him.
That's a good one. I didn't have either of those players on my list. My 7 is Pavel Bure. He's a player, if you remember the 90s Canucks, he was a huge player on that team. He was a consistent goal scorer, one of the best goal scorers ever. You can go watch his highlights. He scored 60 goals twice in back to back years with the Canucks. He scored 58 and 59 with the Florida Panthers. Uh, but he retired at just 31. Injuries kind of derailed him, but also he just mainly wanted to slow down and stop. And I mean, that's okay with a lot of those players. A lot of these players, it's partially because of injuries, but also because they just aren't ready for the grind, or they don't want to do it anymore, and the injuries, they don't want to get any worse. So I'll move on to my 6. My 6 is Andrew Luck.
Ooh.
I firmly believe that Luck would have been better than Peyton Manning if his career continued. I know it's a hot take, especially with a Manning lover such as yourself. But
Well, I think Luck had a better team. Sorry to interrupt, but
oh no,
this Colts team would have been good.
yeah, he had a bad team around him for a large portion of his career, but still, he was amazing. And retiring at 29, I mean, right now he's 33. I He was definitely one that got away. Only reason why he's not higher is that I didn't have all that much affinity again for the Colts, and I still think we got a good bit out of memorable moments out of Luck throughout his career.
Yeah, I do have Luck on this list. He's a little bit higher, but yeah, it's tough. But now I guess it's my turn at 6. I have Josh Hamilton, left the Rangers. Fantastic story. He also has a nice book, Beyond Belief. Um, Very heartwarming story, but I know he's stumbled onto some hard times. But it just seems, I think the drug addiction kind of impacted his just how long he could play, and he was incredible. And it would just be great to see him, and I can't wait till he gets honored by the Rangers in some way. Hopefully, he does get honored, but I'm sure he will.
Yeah, well, we'll have to see. Who's your number? Was that your number 5?
That was my number 6.
Okay,
So,
then your number 5.
number 5 this is an oldie, but pretty much a goodie. Gale Sayers also left. I believe it was
Wow,
his
that's a good
ACL.
one. That's a really good one. I didn't think of. I do not have Gale Sayers on my list, but
I
that's
think
a good pull.
he tore his ACL, right?
Yeah, and back then I didn't really have the
Yeah.
technology to really save your career there.
Yeah, so really stinks that he ended it that way. So that's why he's on this list. Would have been incredible, and just a nice Bears legend.
Yeah, that's really good. I didn't think of him, but my 5, you're gonna be like, what? This guy? This guy retired too early? I think we all knew this was happening. It's a retirement video. Tom Brady, my number 5. And if we did this last year, I wouldn't have put him on it because I wouldn't have been top 10 about it because yeah, he just had a great season, all this other stuff. He didn't lose his family coming out of retirement, but now coming out of retirement, he lost his family, or at least he got divorced. He obviously lost 15 pounds of weight during the season, and he was obviously affected by it. And I feel like coming back and having a lackluster year, not even winning a playoff game, having a worse year career wise, even though he was much better than people give him credit for. Definitely a top 10 quarterback last year, but him coming back, it was just not worth it. And to retire now, it makes it seem like everything you've done. Why? Why come back for this year? What was the point? And I would argue that the point was to get to 45, but if that was your only reason, I feel like that's a weak argument to make. And so he's my number 5. And again, that's mainly just because I'm a Tom Brady guy. And he still has that skill. Like if he came back next year, he wouldn't be a bottom half QB. But I'll go to my number four. My number four, and I have two linebackers in my top four. Patrick Willis. Patrick Willis, Kevin, I know you did not watch the NFL as much back
I,
then.
was it? He was around that like
Well, again,
twenty
like when I told
twelve.
you about the Ravens Super Bowl, you had no idea what I was talking about. Almost like I was mentioning plays that happened.
Yeah, yeah, that one's pretty wild. Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't remember it that much.
Well, Patrick Willis was a young Austin's dream middle linebacker. I mean, he was just amazing. One of the best players you could watch. He was amazing on those 49ers teams that were so good. He went to a Super Bowl. Obviously, they lost. And one of the weirdest, I'll probably argue the weirdest Super Bowl of all time because of the blackout that happened. Like, I could never put that into words. We may have to do a video, and I don't know when or what the occasion would be to cause us to do this. Maybe we're just in the middle of a season that's not doing anything, and everything else is not really anything happening. But weirdest sports moments, I would like to do a video about weirdest sports moments, and
That would be a good one. We'll
yeah,
definitely archive that.
yeah, I definitely will. But that one would be very high. And I don't want to spoil it just in case we do it, but a blackout in the Super Bowl would be extremely high in weirdest sports moments. But that's my number four. What's yours?
That's a good one. My number four is Bo Jackson. Now he's in NFL and MLB. The knee
Yeah,
injuries.
that's why I struggled. I didn't put him on mine
Okay.
because of that. Because of
Oh,
my,
really?
I didn't know how. Because to say, it's just weird for me because he played so much longer in baseball after obviously he retired from football because of his leg injury or
Yeah.
hip injury, I should say. But
Yeah, I'm gonna say both because I think it will have been quite a phenomenon to have him
oh yeah,
in the MLB and the NFL as just at playing as well as he was in both leagues. So I remember watching a 30 for 30 on that. It was pretty good. So that's why he's number four on my list. And number three is Andrew Luck. It just stinks. Like maybe Frank Reich doesn't get fired if Andrew Luck's the quarterback. It really seems like the Colts have failed to move on from him. And he's really the one that got away because that was quite a pairing or quite of a way from going to Peyton Manning to Andrew Luck.
yeah, and I'd even argue that Rivers played admirably. They made a playoff. They almost beat the Bills. Like
I forgot about Rivers.
that was the last year where they were legit. That Colts team could have done something, even though they lost to the Bills. That Bills team ended up playing in the AFC Championship, so it's they really could have done something that year, but obviously that didn't happen. But yeah, I totally get it. What's your three?
My
Oh, that was your
three.
that was your three, right?
Yeah, that was my three. So now it's your three and two.
Okay, my three, and we may have the same person because we talked before. My three is Drazen Petrovic.
Okay, we don't have the same person.
Let's go. Drazen Petrovic would have been one of the best players in NBA history. Honestly, he would have revolutionized the 3-point shot before Curry did. He was taking and making threes at an unbelievable clip. And now I understand only 3.4 and 91, 92. That's not that many takes, but I believe he totally would have started shooting more. He averaged 20.6 points per game that year, shooting 44% from three. The next year on a little bit less attempts, he shot 44.9, but that year he shot 51.8% of the field, 44.9% from three, and 87% from the free throw line while averaging 22.3 points per game. And unfortunately, in that offseason, he ended up uh, dying in a car accident. But he definitely one that got away. As someone who is so big about 3-point shots and how much of effect that has on the league now, I mean, he would have definitely been a very influential player. And to have someone who's averaging 20 points go away like that, I had to include him on the list. Now, my
Yeah, that was a good
two.
one. Yeah,
Or do you want to say something about it?
Yeah, that was a good one. I didn't have him on my list, but very good.
My two, and I really struggled between two and one. Two of my favorite players in NFL history, and I do have a lot of NFL players, mainly because it's a more contact sport. I feel like early retirements happen a lot more. My two is Luke Kuechly.
Ooh.
I would argue one of the best middle linebackers of all time. I would say he's better than Patrick Willis, but both of them went to one Super Bowl and ended up losing. Both should have won more Defensive Player of Years than they did. Patrick Willis won 0. I think Luke Kuechly won 1, but I still think Kuechly could have won in a couple of different years. Uh, and Kuechly, him and Bobby Wagner were always there, being one of the best players in the league. But Kuechly never had a bad season. Like his entire career, he was just amazing. And again, right now, as recording this video, he's 31. Recording this video right now, and it just makes me sad. It makes me sad, and but I'm glad to see that he's still a coach for the Panthers. I don't know if he still is because of the firing, or if he's still with the organization at all. But watching him play was amazing, and I definitely say that he deserves to be high up there in best linebackers of all time.
That's a really good one. I'm also going to do an honorable mention. I
Well,
just came up with this.
okay.
Or do you want to do that at the end?
Do that before you do one. So do 2, and then do
Okay.
your honorable mention. And I'll do my honorable mention, and then you do your 1.
And then I'll say you do your one, because then I kind of want to end with this one, and then we'll leave it out. If you're cool with that.
You want to do your 1 first or last?
No, I want to do my one last.
Okay.
So, and then you'll understand once I mention him.
Okay.
Because I kind of want to give him a moment of silence. So my number 2 is Travis Frederick. Great center for the Cowboys. I'm not quite sure, but it was muscle spasms, and he was really smart and just a great guy. And he tried it for 1 year to play, and he was just part of that fantastic offensive line. And it just thinks that he's no longer with the Cowboys, but hope he's doing well. So that's my 2. Then my honorable mention is Doc Emmerich, broadcast for the NHL. Like, I didn't remember much of him broadcasting, but I wish I could have caught more of him.
Oh, Doc was amazing. That's actually a really good one. Not necessarily a player, but person in sports. I'll consider that. Now, my honorable mention, I'll have to think for a second. Oh man, there's a lot to go to. I'll go Barry Sanders. Barry Sanders is one. Did you mention Barry?
No, I did not, but that's a good one.
Okay. Well, I'll put Barry. I didn't put him. Again, these are the ones that got away to us. It's a Valentine's Day episode, so it's not like we're ranking these based on skill or future ability, just appreciation. So, yeah, I'll put Barry as my honorable mention, and to go to my 1, and again, 1 and 2 are really close, but I'll put the best wide receiver of all time, Calvin Johnson. And I know that's a hot take for a lot of people, saying that he's the best wide receiver of all time, especially with Jerry Rice, Randy Moss, so many other, Chris Carter, so many other guys, but with the team around him, I don't think anyone's ever dominated the game as much as he did. And that year where he almost had 2,000 receiving yards, where they were triple teaming him and only him because there's no one else to pass the ball to, and it was either Calvin Johnson or die. That's what the offense was. It was amazing to watch. And while I really wish he was still in the league, and I mean, he's only 37 still, so I mean, 37 for a wide receiver, people have done it before, but I'm glad he's getting healthy. The injuries were taking a toll. Again, he's getting hit so hard because of how many players were going after him every year. But he's my 1.
Yeah, that's a good one. There are some more names I wish I had. Like you mentioned, Luke Kuechly, Patrick Willis, really good. My number 1, I'm cheating, but it's Kobe. Kobe's my number 1. I know he'd retired, but just the way it happened, I can tell you exactly where I was when I saw it.
I get it. It's definitely cheating, and we'll have to talk to the refs about this one. But
hey, I'll take all the penalties.
Okay. You may get deducted some points, but we'll see. But I understand, and it's mainly just because of the effect that he had on basketball, and it's not something that I would have thought of, but again, it's tough to see.
Yes, and yeah, it's just I wish I caught more of it. caught him at the end of his career watching a little bit, but he's just incredible part of the sport. So that's my list, and I think we'll just end it right there.